G'day, everybody. Welcome back to a bit of Valence League. Tonight we do have the United Poros of Runeterra taking on 7 Deadly Sins Senior. My name is Everyday. With
And my name
me,
is Last.
I was going to say, don't worry. With me tonight is Last. I had you. Don't you worry.
Hello.
And we are getting on into game. We do have the draft starting off. So why don't you tell us a little bit about these teams and these players?
Well, as some people know in the VL community, that 7DS is a very old organization that has now currently restarted their roster with both a sister team and their senior team. The senior team is built up of some people that played last bit and some of our oldies and goodies, such as Rewind, who has finally come back to play, taking on the support spot. We have Sean Houston and Freezy, both from Paradox, if I remember correctly. And we have Agrada, now called Ignutar, in the jungle, and yourself, who is now be playing in the top lane. And on the other side, we have the United Pros of Runeterra, who are complete randoms to most people in VL, but they are good friends in real life, so I've heard. And so I think they're going to be putting up quite a good fight versus 7DS here.
Yeah, we have to hope so at least. We want a close game as the bans are coming in. Surprisingly meta bans, not too many target bans, maybe except for the Jin and a Hecarim. But of course, they did ban Jin and picked the Ashe, so they banned away the counter. I'm surprised to see it.
Sean Houston, very well-known Jin player. The Twitch probably also coming from his op.gg. Of course, the Volley Bear is still an extremely oppressive pick. He hasn't really been touched that hard in the patches. Thresh, it's just an extremely versatile in every elo, so obvious ban there. Karthus has been seeing some love lately from Riot with some buffs during the last patch and this patch, I believe. And so good ban because he's rather flexible right now as well, both in the mid lane jungle and some play in the bot side. Hecarim could just be a comfort pick. They have seen a couple buffs, but it has mostly been seen in the top lane from what I know. So it might just be a safety pick for what they're about to pick in the content.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that is actually just to let them pick Wukong. Of course, he did get tapped on the head a bit more this patch, but he's still pretty strong. But Hecarim was seen as a very, very hard counter. That's why he went up the top lane. He just was bullying Wukongs. So we'll have to see if that is the point, or if it's just, hey, we don't want to play against Hecarim. And fair enough, can't blame them. Sejuani in the jungle. Here we go.
Sejuani, the very VL is known for its picks that don't usually work in solo queue or higher elo regions, but it somehow still always works out in VL. Sejuani being one of them. Very interesting from 7DS that they decided to pick the Jarvan and the Xayah and leaving the Rakan open. They might have wanted to bait the Ashe Rakan, which isn't the best setup, but it seems that they've just let it slide and picking a set to try and counter the Rakan instead.
Yeah, that is very possible. Yeah, exactly. The Lover's Lane is obviously always fairly strong, but I actually think Rakan's not in the best place at the moment, so it wouldn't be too surprised if they don't pick it up, but it's not a bad option. Let's see what they round it out with.
Taking it down, and the Morgana. Alright, that's a lot of denial, so probably so that the Xayah doesn't have to run cleanse in lane versus the Ashe. That the level 6 power spike from Set and Ashe can be quite powerful. Morgana should be able to shut down most of that, even when Sejuani tries to gank. Set can set up the Sejuani stun quite easily with his auto QQ. And so Morgana would probably just be a safety pick, and I know that Sean does love playing.
And I mean, we are, of course, assuming it's Set support, and I think that is most likely, but it could go to the top lane still.
Yeah, it's quite flexible.
Still top viable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Galio ban, that is definitely for the mid lane. Morgana still could technically be flexed into the mid lane if they really want to. It depends on the matchup, really. A Kiana ban, I do not know if anybody plays that on the side of 7DS.
I mean, you'd think they would. You'd think they've done their research, looked at the match histories, but
yeah,
it makes sense to get rid of Kiana if someone knows how to play her.
Nothing that really stands out except for the Jin for me as like well-known VL players, but the Kassadin still very strong in the current meta, just like the safe scaling if you can play it correctly, and it is still such an impressive pick. The LeBlanc ban also coming out from Freezy, which does leave the Orianna open for him. Some people from last split might recall that Freezy's Orianna was quite a thing to behold, and he tried to hard carry some games even if it didn't always work out. But it does look like they lock in the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, I think that's just their blind pick for the top lane. They want to leave the mid lane to be a counter pick, it would appear. Interesting decision, particularly if he's a good Orianna. I think Orianna is such a good blind pick. You could have actually saved your R5 counter pick to the top lane, but we'll have to see what they're thinking for the mid lane.
So it does look like the set could actually, it does look like he's going to the top lane, or that could be Karma top lane. Still rather...
Could be Karma mid.
Could be Karma mid as well. It does seem that they're just trying to juke him out, even if it's the last pick here. Trying to think of the best one into the Mordekaiser could be tough. Mordekaiser's still an impressive pick into most matchups. And it does look like they're picking the Orianna from Freezy, which does leave him open, but he'll have to think smart here, depending on who it is in that mid lane. It could be 3 potential mid laners here.
Well, I think we can pretty safely say it's going to be Orianna mid.
Yeah.
Orianna's not much of a flex. It's
No.
just interesting where the Set and Karma go, because they both can go top or support. My bet would probably be that it's going to be Karma support, but Set into Mordekaiser at the moment is a pretty miserable matchup, so we'll have to see if Big Bang can handle that one. And will be Corki to round out the draft, the safe scaling pick for Freezy. Now we can see both of these drafts. Who do you think's come out on top here?
I do think that we do see quite a bit of scaling on the side of 7DS, but we also have quite a bit of skirmishing power with the J4 and the Mordekaiser, especially with his ulti in early game skirmishes that can change the game, especially around objective fights if you ulti in the jungler so they can't smite. I do think that bot lane is gonna be a very interesting, like on the first couple of waves. Ashe and Karma, they do have quite a bit of poke, and the extended range on Ashe's auto attacks can make it that Xayah's life will be a living hell, since they do not have much sustain on their side either. So it's going to dictate a lot how the lane plays out those first couple of waves. If they can get a level 2 advantage, especially on the Xayah and Morgana, that could lead to some summoners being burned. We'll probably see some early ganks from the Jarvan as well. If he can get Mordekaiser ahead in that matchup, that's just going to steamroll for 7DS as well. And we all know what a fed Mordekaiser can do against an AD carry that doesn't have any mobility spells.
Yeah, it's very, very true. It's kind of an interesting one because you're right that top lane's probably the most gankable lane, but do you really want to gank for your Mordekaiser? Isn't the point of a Mordekaiser pick that you don't have to gank for it? It's such a good weak side pick. It's a bit of a weird one. The Jarvan kind of sticks out a little bit. It was picked early in the draft, but it's a little bit off theme.
I think it's more of a just like a comfort pick for Ignitar there in the jungle. Of course, the only gank setup really on 7DS is the Mordekaiser, which is hard to land, or the Morgana route, maybe the Xayah route if they lean into the feathers a bit. So it could be rather hard to get that early gank off. We'll have to see if he builds anything to try and maybe get some early carrying going. But I mean, especially in the Corki, if Orianna goes Phase Rush, for example, which is the most common Orianna rune for right now, it's going to be very hard for him to do anything mid lane. So it's going to have to be bot lane or maybe top lane, depending on where Sejuani's path is here in the early game.
Yeah, exactly. I get the feeling that this should be a very slow early game. I think these teams want to play for those skirmishes around early objectives. But of course, often League of Legends doesn't go the way you might expect. And I'm sure we will find the junglers find a way in. The bot lane, of course, it's very gankable. There's no real mobility on the Ashe and Karma. There's just the speed up. So if a binding lands into a flag and drag, that is going to be a dead bot lane. But of course, that does kind of go both ways. The bot lane isn't easy for Sejuani to gank. But you know what they say about a Sejuani pick? Your top laner needs to be ready because Sejuani likes ganking melees.
Yes, she does. And like I said before, when I thought the set was going to support, the The auto attack timers on set are different from most champions, which allows him to stack the Sejuani E extremely quickly, which means that gank setup doesn't really need to happen if you just auto attack them down while Sejuani is in range. Looking at 70s's draft, I also see they have some very strong 2-item spikes for Corki Zaya and Mordekaiser, while UPOR, they have some pretty good white-item spikes with Orianna, Ashe, and Set. So it's going to be interesting how they play around those item spikes, especially around when Drake spawn, probably second Drake spawns, or maybe even first Rift Herald, depending on how these junglers do around objectives.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. We are, of course, into our screen, and then we'll be on Stars Rift. I honestly think both teams done pretty well in the draft here. I haven't seen a set top lane in quite a long time. I knew way back when Set was still kind of broken. He just about won the Mordekaiser matchup. Have to imagine that swung a little bit more in the Mordekaiser's favor over the patches. We'll have to see as we head on in.
As we head on in, we can start looking at rune choices here. We do see that the Jarvan will be going for the Conquer, which means he's going to be looking for more extended skirmishes. Probably smart versus the Sejuani. You're probably not going to be one-shotting them anytime soon. Set as well with his W shield is massive. We do see that the Karma is going for Arcane Comet and the Ashe is going for Tempo. Karma probably going to be focusing on poking Zaya and Morgana down as much as possible. Morgana did go for the Guardian though, which should help against some of the poke. They do not have any sustain whatsoever. Both heals on the AD carry, pretty normal to see. Does look like that UPR do have the TP advantage with both the Orianna and the Set having TP. So at those one-item spikes, it could be a very risky Drake fight if they try and look for that.
All right. Well, we'll just be getting our sync right for just a moment once the Rift decides to play ball with us. So I think we have to pause.
There we go. Pausing at 10.
Go. Yeah, are we all paused at 10? We all good to go? Waiting for our production to say yes. Mr. Production.
Welcome to Summoner's
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, let's this is a bit of a concern. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to live because
I'll do the same.
It would appear something's gone a little bit wrong. Production.
Jump to live.
As
All
close
right.
as we can. Yeah, we're close to live as we can. Hopefully we're synced. Sorry, I'm just still sorting mine out. It's decided to be very non-cooperative. Yeah, if you want to give us a rundown of like early pathing and that while I fix this up.
It does look like that UPR are trying to get a ward. They did get a ward on the 70s blue buff there, which could be helpful. But it does seem that the Jarvan will be starting in the top side, but that should be pretty common knowledge. But that does mean that the top lane should be careful of that level 2 gank. We could see the Jarvan do a buff to buff if he really wants to, probably in time for when the bot lane gets... Oh, it does look like someone's getting caught out.
This is very deep here, Freezy. Went for a very greedy ward, and he's going to play with that one, pay for that one with his life.
That was an interesting ward to try and pull off there. Of course, you get kind of a bit of information, but Sejuani is notoriously slow at clearing jungler, so I don't know if that would have given too much vision, or too much information, excuse me. But it does look like, yeah, it was very late, very late. I don't think he expected them to be right there, seeing as they did go for a ward themselves into the blue buff. But it does look like the Jarvan will be doing a buff to buff. He might even look for something in the bot lane. The bot lane should be hitting level 2 in the next wave. So, but they do see him on the blue buff actually because of that ward. So they'll probably play a bit more safe now that I'm looking at the map here. Anything else going on? Really doesn't look like it. Sejuani's just doing crugs, and it's just gonna look like the junglers are just gonna do a full creep.
Yeah, it looks like it will be that slow early game as both bot lanes do hit level 2 and no all-ins happen. But of course we now have a situation where there is a pretty big difference in experience in the mid lane just due to how late Corki was. A bit of a trade up in the top side. That Mordekaiser passive is burning away. Yourself will want to keep chasing. Conqueror is procced on both sides, but Mordekaiser coming out very far ahead.
That is a trade you don't really want to take that often, but Set of course does have that health regen, so in the long run it could actually even out. depending on if the Mordekaiser uses his W to try and sustain up the lane. Oh, mid lane.
Yep, mid lane, there is a gank coming in. There's a knock up. The Corki flies forward. Freezy trying to throw out the rockets. But this Orianna, with the nerves of steel, didn't even burn the flash.
Saving it for next gank. But it does look like that Freezy can try and maybe put the wave in a spot that he likes and make sure that the Orianna can get set up for a return gank if she does step up during the CS. But it does look like she's playing a bit safe. She has warded the bot side, and the Jarvan is looking for an invade, possibly a bot lane gank if he wants to come through the tri-bush here. But
Yeah,
Sejuani's seen on the top side rafters as well, so she's going to be denying him a bit of XP from the buff to buff. Oh, hit again.
Oh, yep, here we go. Another engage here, but Orianna is going to be running towards her jungler. This should be super obvious, but Sejuani comes flying over the wall, gets on top of Freezy, will be able to proc the E, but there's a good cleanse. But do they continue this one? No.
Flash burn from the Sejuani there, a vital engage tool, and Freezy only has to burn to the cleanse. I think that's worth for 7DS thing.
Yeah, it is, but of course, still, it was a good response there by the Sejuani to get there to defend his mid laner in time. Of course, could try and find something else on the burnt cleanse. Looking, be a bit careful there, Freezy, not coming out ahead in these trades.
Freezy trying to be a bit stronger than what he actually feels like right now. Of course, both the mid laners do still have their flash. The bot lane kind of getting poked out, as you would expect from Ashe Karma, but it does look like they are keeping ahead in CS decently well.
Yeah, for now, they will be able to just keep the push in. The CS very, very even, as Jarvan is going to show himself once again. Very gank-heavy style out of this.
The hawk shot does land on the Jarvan, showing himself no Drake. It doesn't look like he's going to be going for anything early there, though. It does look like Ashe and Karma have complete bot side control here, and Sejuani does look like she's bathing to the bot side, so maybe we could see an early Drake here, but it could lead into a very, very messy fight, seeing as UPR have... Oh, top lane.
Ooh. Yeah, up in the top side, they're looking for a solo kill here. It's very, very close, and they're going to finish it out with yourself taking down Big Bang.
That was way too close, especially seeing as Big Bang has that Vamp Scepter. That could have gone any way there. That was an extremely ballsy move, but it does pay out in the end for the Mordekaiser there. They both have to reset. But in the end, Mordekaiser comes home just a little bit richer, and he does buy the Bramble Vest to try and counter that Vamp Scepter. And so this might just snowball into something that the UPR team does not want to happen, which is a Mordekaiser that is just completely unstoppable. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, we will. It was a bit of a mistake there out of Big Bang. Used his Haymaker very, very early in the fight, thinking, oh, it's just a little bit of poke back and forth, and then quickly realized, oh, wait a minute, no, Mordekaiser's got his E, this is not just poke. And with how close it was, a bit of a bigger shield on that Haymaker could have made all the difference.
Early Drake taken by UPR there, Sejuani pathing bot side when she knew that the bot lane did have prio over the other one. Jarvan did seem to be spotted on the top side, so Sejuani feels rather safe to just go in and ward his bot side jungle as well. This might even translate to a gank if 7DS step up a bit too far.
Yeah, it's possible. Sorry?
So no, go ahead.
I was going to say, it is tricky to gank this bot lane, of course, as they are heading towards that level 6. Naya will have the Featherstorm, and there's the ever-present Black Shield.
There seems to be a lot of pink wards in the bot side for UPR here. Sejuani's still sitting in the bot side. She is fairly low, so probably won't be looking for any skirmishes. But if we look in the mid lane here, that Nylon on Orianna does have a CS lead over Corki and almost a 7k gold or 700 gold lead, which in these early fights, especially with those one-item spikes, could be extremely vital, especially when the next Drake is coming up.
Yeah, no question. The difference between a Lost Chapter and a tier is pretty stark. Corki wanting to stack that one up, and it does kind of come back to that early First Blood misplay out of Freezy. He was late to lane, which means he's been behind on every level breakpoint, and Nalden has been able to really press that advantage the entire time. Lucky he's not on a killer, more aggressive mid laner. We might have seen some solo kills.
Yeah, so we already did see one in the top lane, so it does give us some action, but I mean, that lane was always going to be rather Mordekaiser contested, but here, it really, Corki, if he plays out the lane correctly, if he just gets some jungle help, it could be rather harmful for Orianna. She is rather skill shot oriented, and Corki, he is quite mobile with his W, he can dodge the Orianna, but it can be a snowbally lane, and it does seem like bot lane is
Ooh, the tether lands in the bot lane, but Haya might have gone a little bit too far forward here as the arrows used to hold up Jarvan. There's the speed boost. Ooh, Haya tried to get a little bit too fancy for himself and had to burn his flash.
Flash burned on the Karma could be an extremely important summoner, especially if they try and do anything bot lane again. They actually might. Nah, it doesn't. Xayah is a bit too chunked out. They probably won't be doing anything else, but Jarvan pretty happy with that gank, guys.
Yep, he just burnt a flash, didn't use anything of his own. Of course, was the support's flash, not as valuable as Ash's. We'll have to see if he manages to capitalize on it.
Yeah, you don't see too many repeat ganks in VL, but I'm ready to be pleasantly surprised. Flash down is definitely something you can capitalize on, but let's hope that they can just actually get something out of it instead of just letting it tick back up. Sejuani does seem to be aggressively pathing to Jarvan's top side here, and she might get collapsed on if she doesn't take the blast cone.
Yeah, very possible, but I think she will.
She does get out. She does just walk out in the end. I don't think that 70S knew exactly where she was there either, so quite a surprise to see Sejuani just running much in the jungle. Right now, we do see that 2 of the UPR are off the map, and it does seem that Ignitar is backing. He might pick up a jungle item here, but it does seem that he's starting the Rift Herald, actually, especially, he does not know that Sejuani is on the top side, and Orianna is coming back with a Locked Shaft and a Sword Shoes, so this could be a very important fight if UPR decides to capitalize on it.
Yeah, you have to see if UPR sort of read where they are. The Rift Herald is going down very quickly. I actually think with the top lane prio, might go for a steal, but there's the package being used. You don't want to cross the red carpet. That's a very early smite there. That was very bold out of the Jarvan.
Quite ballsy, but in the end it pays out for them. They do pick up the Rift Herald, and they might use it somewhere in the bot lane if they can maybe get a repeat gank onto that Karma, who is flashless, but it does just seem that they're going to be trying to set up for the Drake if they can. They might be able to use the Rift Herald to maybe get something out if they want to fight for the Drake. But like I said, UPR does have quite good one-item spikes, and it does seem that they're getting to there quite slowly, but they might get close or even get an item by the time that Drake is finally started. It does look like the Jarvan is going bot there. It's just, he does pop the Herald. They're gonna pop the Herald, probably get some gold onto the Xayah, if not, and they're just gonna try and get some vision around the Drake here.
Yeah, okay. This was well done. I was a bit worried there for a second, but Sean Houston did go back, picked up the plate gold. I thought they were gonna use it to go for the Drake, but at the moment they're sort of just posturing.
They do end up starting it, but Sejuani is a bit late to the party. They might be able to burst it, but it does look like they are outnumbered. Corki is a bit late. TP doesn't come.
Yeah, here they go. There's the arrow going straight in on the jungle. The Black Shield was far too late. Ignitar goes straight down. They can't contest anymore. A flash away from the shockwave by Morgana. The Infernal Drake has fallen. A good flash forward by Ash. There is a fall up in the top side, but we'll come back to it as there is a chase here in the bot. Can he find anything more? No, it'll be a good Black Dark Binding to end the fight.
And UPR actually do end up getting the Drake in the end. Of course, Big Bang did get his teleport cancelled, but somehow they still end up winning the fight. It did seem that Freezy was a bit late trying to get another wave down the mid lane, but that did end up meaning that the Drake fight was, they were completely outnumbered, and bot lane had to use all of their summoners. But it does look like the UPR bot lane did the same, and they don't really get that much richer for it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is just the Drake that they get out of it. The kills aren't super important, it's just a bit of gold. The big problem there was just the late Black Shield, unfortunately. If that Enchanted Crystal Arrow had been negated, and Jarvan had lived a little bit longer, maybe things could have gone differently.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that the Drake does fall there, especially when they started it. But like I said, that you have to be very careful when you pick a comp like this. You do have Jarvan, who is quite an early game jungler, and then almost everybody else on your team does not have the greatest early game. So it's hard to set up for those early Drakes unless you have complete vision control or you know that the jungler's on the opposite side.
Yeah. We'll have to see. We do have, of course, the first item coming in here for Potatoes Spaghetti. Potatoes Spaghetti.
Sure.
Oh, hello! Long range arrow lands. Coyote is here. Black shield's used. Are they going to try and wait it out? Since he's dodging around those feathers. There's the Sejuani ult. They want this one really bad. Very, very low, and there it is. The Tether gets the kill. They want the second one, but the Soul Shackle should get her out.
Very well played by United Poros there. They knew that Sean Houston had no summoners on him, and they just sent that Ash arrow flying and prayed for it. Sejuani was positioned by the Krugs, just waiting for it to land, and it finally did. And she was kind of hesitant at first, but the Black Shield did come out rather early, which just allowed them to get that kill on the Flash.
Up in the thought we might have had something, but up in the top
Flash
side, it's just a
burn
quick flash.
Ultimate burn for Flash, that in the end that is worth. They might be able to set something up. Sejuani is also pathing towards the top lane. This might be a little skirmish by the blue buff.
Yeah, it's very possible. And down in the bot side, we do have Ash just chipping away at this tower. So Sejuani definitely knows something is up. Calling Orianna over. Can we force the smite? There it is. Taken away there by Jarvan. Are they going to punish him? There's the stun. Flash away from the shockwave. Yourself is very scary. Has the death realm, of course. Gets pulled back in with the face break and they're running away. Can they get the E stun down? Yes, of course they can. And he can't take anyone to the death realm except himself.
Sejuani is just doing work here, getting stun after stun after stun, setting up for her team, and UPR are just communicating extremely well, collapsing exactly when they need to. But I think it's also BTS they're being a bit greedy here, trying to get some stuff that they shouldn't be when they don't exactly have item spikes to be looking for these types of skirmishes. And they don't exactly have vision in the enemy jungle to be looking for a blue buff when the set's pushed in the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate. Just not the greatest of execution, as the first brick does fall in the bot lane, in the top side, I should say. No, I'm telling a lie. I should have gone with my gut. It was bot side. I'm very smart. Can you tell that it's 4 in the morning?
Not at all, not at all. You're doing great.
But let's kind of check in. We were talking about item power spikes in the draft. Where are we at on that front?
Well, the Ashe has picked up the Bork, which could be an extremely important item spike. With the Q buffs that they had a while ago that gave her increased attack speed, the Bork just absolutely melts. We do see that the Mordekaiser hasn't exactly built HP yet, but the Jarvan has. If he doesn't get on top of that Ashe, she can just whittle him away, especially if he slows, if he uses his Q aggressively, he won't be able to get out. We do see that the Orianna has picked up the GLP as well, which adds that just enough burst that she should be able to just, like, at least half health all of 7DS with the shockwave into the GLP. And that does give him a bit more catch and synergy with Sejuani as well. Set is setting up for the Bork, which is exactly what you want to see into the Mordekaiser matchup. It is very hard to do anything without it. And 7DS, they have some items, but it's nothing to be worried about for them.
Yeah, for sure. It is a 2,000 gold lead for the United Poros. So they are looking in a much better position at the moment. We do need to see the 7 deadly sins just hanging on. But unfortunately, we are on an ocean rift. And this is potentially Soul Point. The Ash Arrow goes through the upright. Rewind gets poked. Charging forward is Potato Spaghetti, getting a lot of slows down. There's the EQ, the package is burned, the red carpet is laid. There's the Sejuani ult, forces the instant cleanse. As everyone is here to brawl. Set, a little bit of a late arrival, but should be here in time.
A lot of ultimates used here.
Yeah, for sure. And there is the Set engaging, gets a good face break, he gets one on each arm, gives them the gun show, and now he's trying to get onto yourself. There's a big bit of true damage. Can they get that last bit of damage? Of course they can. Corki has also fallen. Coming from the side, they've got the tether. Can they finish them off? Of course they can, as Nalden goes forward for the double kill.
7DS are just waiting. They're just waiting for UPR to jump on them. UPR used almost all of their ultimates beforehand just to try and get a pick, and it didn't work out. And then 7DS just sat and waited and walked right into UPR's arms, and they end up getting 4 kills, I believe, and the Drake. This is going to set up for Soul here.
Yeah, this is a bit of a disaster for the 7 Deadly Sins. That Dragon contest / steal earlier on has put the United Pros of Runeterra in a very good position to snowball towards an Ocean Soul. And I think an Ocean Soul against this composition might be a bit of a knockout punch.
5k ahead almost at 18 minutes. This could be exactly what United Pros of Runeterra are looking for here. Oh! Rift Herald?
Ooh, here we go. Another Enchanted Crystal Arrow does land onto the Jarvan. Can he EQ over the wall? Of course we can, but they're going to contest it. They say you cannot have anything, 7 Deadly Sins. The map is ours.
They just have complete control. They have such long range engage with the Sejuani art and the Ash art. And these Ash arrows are on point. They know exactly what 7DS are trying to do, and it just ends up badly for them in almost every scenario. Why do you think 7DS are just not doing what they need to do in terms of
I think they feel like they're behind, and they're worried about it. Instead of just falling back on the fact that they actually have a pretty good scaling draft, they're thinking, oh no, we need to catch up now. This might be a good opportunity too, as Coyote has been very, very caught out yourself, charging forward, but now it's all turning around. The poke is coming in, he puts the shield up, but it might not be enough. Oh, nope, I tell a lie. It absolutely is.
The Ash fort just whittling away, and the slows are just making sure that 7DS cannot run away. They do not have much mobility on them. Oh!
Ooh, GLP comes out into the shockwave, and boom! Up goes the Zaya! Instant double kill there, and oh boy, the United Pros of Runeterra are looking hot.
7DS are just stepping up way too far. They do not understand just how strong the UPR is right now. They just have no reason to be there, and the United Pros of Runeterra, they just see that and they capitalize on it immediately. And even when they have a numbers disadvantage, they still win, and Set does get some damage down in the bot lane as well, and it's just not looking good for 7DS right now.
Yeah, not looking good is putting it very lightly, I think. It is 6k gold lead here at 20 minutes. Only 1 kill able to be claimed. That 1 kill is all that is preventing this being the perfect game out of the UPR at the moment. So, of course, everyone make sure you report Big Bang. He's clearly inting. Can't believe he's managed to int away the perfect game. Shameful display.
Actual troll feeder. And in such a good matchup for Set as well. Forehead.
Exactly. It's just pathetic.
I can't believe it. If there's one saving grace, though, we can see that 7DS are keeping up in CS, and even Freezy's actually up quite a little bit of CS, but Orianna is still almost 1.5k ahead because of her kills. So hopefully, maybe they can turtle, but UPR has such vision. They have way too much vision for them to even step out of their base right now. Freezy almost getting caught out again as well.
Yeah, exactly. Has to Valkyrie away, but Nolan's going to chase him down. There's the shockwave, and bang! Boom goes the dynamite. And the plane will crash.
That's just a sign of what vision control can do for you. Orianna just freely walks up. Procs phase rush, you can't do anything about that, and just boom, you're dead. Morgana hasn't really been able to walk up either to do anything.
Yep, oh, and they're doing it again, but this time there's a flag and drag.
They can do this without punish all the time. They're just so ahead, and the comp asks for this. Oh,
and they're doing it again. As you said, they can do it time and time again. That is a very beefy boar on the front line. Yourself tries to get the death hand. Oh, but he dies in the Zaya ult. And the AD carry going down means that they've got an appointment with one Dr. Baron.
I mean, as long as UPR don't use all of their ultimates, there's nothing really 7DS can do if they're just that far up. They can't get vision control because of the long range engage, and they can't really walk up to their own turrets. You can't do anything versus UPR right now, and I don't see a way that 7DS can get back.
No, this is looking pretty over, not gonna lie. This is a really impressive performance out of UPR. I actually want to praise them. I don't necessarily think 7 Deadly Sins have been playing badly. There's been a few mistakes, no question. But I actually just think UPR just said they know what this comp does, and they're just executing it really, really well.
Not
So,
only that,
very
they're all
impressive.
not only that, but they're also capitalizing on 7DS's mistakes. You see Sean Houston maybe a little bit out of position. Boom, Ash Arrow or Sejuani ulti just on the spot. They are not afraid to just go for it and ask questions later. And it's worked out for them. 7DS are kind of just like, oh, maybe, kind of not. They back up a little bit.
Yep.
They don't really want to auto attack. They're not sure what they want to do, while UPR is, and that just shows in these fights. It's complete stomp.
Well, at the moment, they know they want to bait them over towards a death brush that has been set up. This is, of course, Ocean Soul. Should UPR manage to get this, they have the Baron buff. There is a package from Corki to zone away and to death realm. Can the jungler get into the pit? No! They're actually going to be able to secure this dragon. Prevent the soul. Into the death realm goes yourself and Coyote. The red carpet did come out from Corki as well, and everyone will disengage.
This is really good by 7DS. They knew that they had to give it up, or they had to do something drastic, and yourself says, I'm just going to ult the jungler. If you guys can zone him off, I'll be fine. He's okay with dying as well. They're not going to really be able to end, but they're going to be able to push into the inhibitor, but they do end up making sure that that Ocean Soul does get delayed by 5 minutes, which does hopefully mean that they can get some of their items up at that time. Oh.
Ooh, very aggressive here from the Jarvan as he just dives in, puts the Cataclysm up, but dies for it. The Shockwave won't get much of anything, but they are just sieging on towards the inhib. And of course, the thing is that you get that dragon to delay the Ocean Soul. But the dragon doesn't actually do much for you, but they'll kick off the fight. The E from the Mordekaiser will not quite land. Big Bang in the middle of the enemy team throws out the Showstopper, but will go down. But yourself gets hunted down in revenge. Freezy, he's better hope he can freeze as he is going to get run down by Potato Spaghetti. And I think we may well see the game end.
They just knew that, oh, the Drake's gone, and they were completely fine with it, and they just immediately went for the mid lane. They knew we can take a fight. Mordekaiser ult's down. They won't be able to shut any of us down, and we can just steamroll them even under tower, and that's exactly what they did.
That is exactly what they did, and it's a triumphant display, and the United Poros of Runeterra will take the Nexus and game 1.
That was not exactly what you wanted to see from 7DS. A lot of VL veterans there, but of course, United Poros of Runeterra, they're just on point. Their communication is exactly what you want to see from any League of Legends team. They're all on the same page, and they just know exactly when to capitalize on mistakes and how to do it.
Absolutely, but we will have to see if 7 Deadly Sins can bounce back in game 2, or if it will be a Poro sweep. Find out in not too long at all. Thanks everyone for watching. We hope you're enjoying the show. We'll be back very, very soon.